A 72-year-old woman who had lost her husband David years ago still found her home filled with reminders of him, his books, his records, and the countless mementos they had collected together with each passing day. These items seemed to grow heavier, as if dragging her down. Her daughter Emma frequently visited and encouraged her to try new things, but she felt that her lively, energetic days were long past. She felt left behind by a world that continued to move forward one day. Emma suggested, "Why don't you adopt a dog, Mom?" Initially, she laughed at the idea. At her age, taking care of a dog seemed impractical. However, later that night, alone in the quiet of her home, a spark of curiosity ignited within her, a feeling she hadn't experienced in years. The next day, she found herself at the shelter with Emma. The energy and bustle of the dogs were both intimidating and exhilarating as she walked through the rows, low eyes with each dog. She was drawn to a sweet golden retriever with big brown eyes. His gaze seemed to peer straight into her heart. Almost without thinking, she decided to bring Teddy home. The initial days with Teddy were chaotic. His energy was overwhelming, but the daily walks and care began to make her feel better through Teddy. She started reconnecting with neighbors she hadn't spoken to in years, slowly emerging from her self-imposed silence. One morning in the park, she met Jack, an older but lively man walking his dog. Daisy Jack's warm smile and friendly conversation were a delightful surprise. Initially, their conversation centered around their dogs, but gradually, they shared more stories of their lost spouses and the challenges they faced. She found herself eagerly anticipating their morning walks, feeling a lightness she hadn't experienced in a long time. However, an old feeling of guilt began to creep in. She worried that by forming this new bond, she might be betraying David's memory. Was it right to feel this way? One evening, as she sat pondering these thoughts with Teddy beside her, he looked up with his soft, understanding eyes. It felt as if he knew what she was going through. She remembered David knowing he would want her to be happy and live her life fully. The next morning in the park, she decided to open up to Jack about her feelings. She shared her confusion and guilt, and he reciprocated by sharing his own experiences. Of loss, they agreed to honor their pasts and take their new friendship slowly out of respect for the ones they had loved. Teddy had brought new meaning into her life. He had helped her reconnect with the world, and walking through the park with Jack and Teddy by her side, she felt grateful for the unexpected gift of this new beginning each day. As she walked with them, she silently thanked life for giving her this second chance. Teddy, her faithful golden retriever, had not only provided companionship, but also a bridge to the world she had slowly retreated from. As the seasons changed, so did the nature of her walks with Teddy and Jack. The park, once a place of solitude, had transformed into a scene of renewed friendships and deepening connections. The crisp mornings spent walking along the winding paths, with leaves crunching underfoot, and the cool air refreshing their faces, brought a serene rhythm to her life. With each passing day, she felt the weight of the past lesson. The home that once felt like a AUM of memories began to brighten as she introduced elements that reflected her current life, photographs of new memories with Teddy, fresh flowers, and even some of Jack's artwork gifted during one of their many discussions about life and loss. As winter approached, the community park they frequented adorned itself in white, the snow adding a quiet magic to their routine. During these walks, their conversations delved deeper into topics they had once avoided. The pain of moving on, the joy of rediscovery, and the complexities of forming new bonds without feeling like they were erasing the old ones. Jack, much like her, had found solace in his dog Daisy after his wife passed. They shared the understanding that their pets were more than just animals. They were conduits to a life that could still be filled with joy, companionship, and love. This mutual understanding deepened their bond, turning their daily meetings into a cherished part of each other's lives. One particularly snowy morning, as they watched Teddy and Daisy playfully chase each other around a snow-draped bench, Jack turned to her with a gentle smile. "You know," he began, "I really think David and my Helen would have been happy to see us like this. Not just surviving, but living his word struck a chord." She had often pondered what David would think of her new life. Would he understand her need for companionship? Her laughter with Jack, her talks about things that once seemed inconsequential. Jack's words offered a comfort she hadn't realized she needed. It wasn't about forgetting David, but about honoring the love they shared by continuing to live a full life. Encouraged by Jack's perspective, she decided to host a small gathering at her home to celebrate the holiday season, something she hadn't done since David's passing with Jack's help. She prepared the house, decorating it with lights and seasonal decor, creating a warm, welcoming environment for their friends and neighbors the night of the gathering. As she looked around at the smiling faces in her living room, lit by the gentle glow of Christmas lights, she felt a profound sense of peace. Teddy and Daisy, ever the centers of attention, mingled among the guests, often returning to her side, as if to check in later as the guests departed with warm goodbyes and promises to meet again. Soon, she and Jack stood at the doorway, watching the snow gently fall. "Thank you," she whispered. "Not just for the night, but for all the mornings in the park. The conversations, the shared silences, and the understanding." Jack nodded, squeezing her hand lightly. "Thank you, too, for reminding me that the heart has room for many chapters." As Teddy curled up by the fireplace, she knew that this chapter of her life, one filled with new friendships, laughter, and a dog that had unwittingly become her anchor, was just another part of her journey. David's memory would always be part of her, but now she could look forward to the days ahead with hope and gratitude. This Christmas, the snow blanketed the town, enveloping it in a serene stillness, yet within her, the tempest had finally settled. She had learned that grief holds immense power, but so does the human heart's capacity for love and renewal. If enjoying my story, please like the video and subscribe my channel for more stories.